G'day. This is a very special episode because it's not an episode of Sports Geek. This is an episode of Hear Me Out. I was lucky enough to be invited on as a special guest of Hear Me Out by RJ and Bley, where I help convince Bley that sports is awesome, which I obviously think is. So you can check out the Hear Me Out podcast by going to the link sportsgeekhq.com/hearmeout or in the links in the show notes for this podcast. But check out the rest of their series, Hear Me Out, on all good podcasting platforms. We'll be back to regular programming on Sports Geek from next week. Cheers. Have a good listen.
Hear me out, dude. Seriously, just hear me out. Please, will you hear me out? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hear Me Out. My name is RJ.
And my name is Bley. This is the podcast where us as two best friends tries to convince the other to be more like themselves.
Yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
That's right.
Today, I'm going to try to convince Mr. Blair on the other side to get into sports. You haven't been into sports ever since I've known you, and it's time.
I've got a few little things to reveal about my personal history.
Nobody wants to hear.
We'll get there about sports. And of course, in every episode, the loser has to donate to a charity. RJ, what is our charity we are donating to today?
Today, to keep with kind of the sports theme, it's the Boys and Girls Club of America.
That's right. So they'll be getting a donation either way, but who's going to do it? Me or you? Who's going to do it?
I don't know.
Me or you?
We'll see. I'm
right.
excited about our guest. Our guest today is Sean Callanan, a.k.a. The Sports Geek. He's tapped into the business of sports and even owns his own esports team, which is amazing. League of Legends teams Gravitas in Australia. Welcome to the show, man. We're super pumped you're here.
Thanks a lot, guys, and pumped to be here. Good, looking forward to it.
Sean, what are your huge teams now? Who are you following in Australia? And I assume you also follow some American teams. Who do you like?
Yeah, so Collingwood is the football team that I follow. My great grandfather played for Collingwood, which is why I didn't get a choice.
Wow.
Which is why my son didn't get a choice. So I still follow the Pies.
That's great.
I'm up and about because we won last night, so that's good. And then the NBA. As a 16-year-old, I started following the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys, Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman.
Mahorn, Dumars.
Yeah. So I was the guy yelling at everybody when Last Dance was on and saying, hey, they missed a whole series when we beat down Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So, so the Pistons, they suck at the minute, but I still love my NBA. So the Pistons would be my other team.
There we go.
Are you a baseball fan at all? Cricket's not the same, obviously, but are you at all a baseball fan? I'm a massive Boston Red Sox fan.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you're from Australia, you get to pick whatever team. So we're not geographically bound. So when I tell someone I barrack for the Pistons, and then I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, and I'm a Packers fan, I get the weirdest looks, and it breaks people's brains. But we get to pick. So
just blood coming out of their ears while you're saying.
So Wrigley was the first game I went to, and I went to Wrigley. And so I love that as a stadium and the history of the stadium and everything there. And so I was like, so that's why I followed the Cubs. And I think I was there for a Sammy Sosa game during that, juiced up, every ball was going over, into the bleachers. So I'm a right field sucks guy. I'm right in the bleachers. So yeah, Cubs.
Excellent.
Amazing. Now tell us about, how did you get involved with League of Legends? How did that whole thing start? And tell us about your team.
Yeah. So I started Sports Geek 11 years ago. I was a frustrated geek. Too many terrible websites and terrible emails as a sports fan.
I know it.
I started Sports Geek, and so I've been working with sports and leagues around what they do in the digital space, and the whole industry overall has sort of been looking over its shoulder at this esports thing, this gaming. And so what is it? Is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? And because I'm a data and audience guy, and hey, let's talk to the fans, I'm like, it's a really big audience and it's a really big opportunity. And
Absolutely.
so I'd been using my podcast and reaching out to people to find out more about it. And the guys at Riot Games here in Australia came to me because they'd had investment into the league from sports, like it happened in the US with the Golden State Warriors getting a League of Legends team, the Houston Rockets, Philadelphia 76ers have now got it. So it happened, the same trend had happened here. And so they asked me to help them find someone to run the 8th team. They had a spot available. And so I helped them do that. And then I said, well, hang on. If this seems like a pretty good opportunity, can I put my hand up? And lo and behold, I get the spot. And so we got told we got the spot in November. 6 weeks later, we had to have a team and a name and players and everything done. So Gravitas was born in a 6-week manic period of recruiting coaches and players and coming up with a name and a logo and a color and a jersey.
Wow.
So, a lot of fun.
That's
a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's you got to live out every kid's fantasy of having a team. That's
so one of my jokes has been I'm a sports geek like Mark Cuban, except he's got a little bit more money, right? And here I am now. I own a team, so it's like
exactly.
It's,
You're the same. You're the same now.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Exactly the same.
How did you land on that name?
It was a really interesting exercise. Like we had 10 days to come up with the name and the logo, so we just started throwing names at a board, and then it's like, which ones are available on the internet and no one's used?
Oh yeah.
And so we ended up.
You are a smart marketing guy. You are very, very smart.
Yeah,
very
but then
smart.
then we sort of went down the path of these Latin names. So a few of the teams have used them in like Dignatus and Invictus and things like that. So we started going down. Rewatch Gladiator, trying to figure out all the words that we could use. And so we went with.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, so we went with Gravitas. We went, has some gravity, some weight, and it sort of sounds fighty. But it was funny talking to our, esports athletes when we were throwing the name to them. They're 18, 19-year-olds. They played games a lot. A lot of them didn't even know what the name was. Like, I'm not sure. Does it mean like gravity? And so the way I explained it to them, it's like, it means, you've got some weight and, your words have meaning. And I said, it means you have big balls. You walk into the room and they know that you mean it. And so they got it. They're like, so that's how we stride into the studio to play. So, so the Gravitas
that's the team logo.
Yeah,
they got it. Yeah, they got it.
Are you one of these sports owners who is like a Jerry Jones? Are you always are you messing with everybody? Are you messing with all the coaches? Are you super involved?
I try not to, because I've never played the game. Like, I probably like Jerry Jones, right? I try not to. Exactly. So I try to, work on the marketing and the things that I know. And I've literally told my players and coaches, if I start telling you to take the tower early or pick this, go after this dragon, tell me to go away quickly, if I'm being polite, right? And so, kindly leave. So they've got to the edge of that a few times, but most of the time I'm, looking at everything else but the operations of the coaching and the players.
This is potentially a stupid question, but would you consider it athletic? Is it like an athletic sport? Or because I understand, like Bley over there, he is a gamer.
Yep.
And I know that it takes some, there is some kind of a motor skill involved there that I can't do.
Yeah.
Because I've never practiced doing it.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Thank you. You're terrible.
So there is micro and macro. So like the ability to click the buttons quickly and the reaction time is of importance, as is the decision making. I mean, and if you looked at the dashboard or the steering wheel of a F1 driver, it's pretty similar to a gut, except he's hurdling at 300, k's an hour. But it's exactly the same. So the decision making and the button clicking, does get the same elite. And the testing has shown that they've got same as fighter pilots and F1 drivers when you get to the very, very top. So it is something that can be skilled, but elite decision making is a sports skill. Yeah. We also have seen. Being healthy and going to the gym and, taking care of your body and your mind does result in the same, has the same effects. So, it still feels a bit weird calling them esports athletes or esports gamers, but, treating them as a high performance performer does make sense.
I feel like it's much more of a sport than golf. I mean, golf, if there, you know what I'm saying? Like golf, I feel like, well, by the way, golf is a sport, obviously, and there is a lot involved with that. I could never play it, period, not even at a high level. I just have a slice. It just goes like, But esports, yeah, I mean, it is so focused. I would almost think, and I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said F1 racing. It feels like, because it is so, the margin of error is so small when I've watched esports, because everyone is playing the same game, and the confines are that much tighter. It's not like on a basketball court, you can run over here and all those things. It's like, no, there are X a number of powers there. It's like, it just feels like, so you need to be that much better.
I think this is the perfect segue, because basically Bley is halfway there. Now that we've kind of established that League of Legends is basically sports, and you seem quite into it.
Is he halfway? You know what? I will say, smart work on your part, RJ, to get an esports genius in here. Well played. But you know what? It's 4D chess, and you made a good move.
All right, before we get fully into this, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right, so I've just got a couple points that we can expand on. Feel free to throw in anything here of just like reasons you should be into sports. That's okay. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
I'm going to set aside my preconceived notions, and I am now ready to hear your arguments.
Okay, so number one is, this is super general, super general. Okay. Basically, it's just the perfect way to teach kids or people you work with or whatever about teamwork and loyalty and like banding together. Don't shake your head. I know you think that's a lame reason, but that's where you learned everything that you do at work. When we go to work.
I don't disagree, but that is the shittiest fucking argument I've heard in my life. That's the
best.
It helps people work together. What are you talking about? That's anything.
Sounds like an advert for Bandcamp.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, guess what? Now you're experts on my side. What's up?
No, listen. It doesn't even have to be.
Move on. Like, no, you're not going to get me on this.
Teamwork. It doesn't even have to be. All right, so listen to this. When I was playing T-ball, as a kid, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with even playing the game, but our T-ball coach was a total dick. He seriously was the worst guy, okay?
Where is this going?
This guy, I'm convinced, hated kids.
Good job convincing me sports are great. So anyway, one of my sports idols was a real piece of shit.
No, listen, but none of these kids knew each other. We didn't, right? This guy managed to make all of these kids band against him, and we became a close team. This guy was a genius.
Okay, fine. But that wasn't because of sports.
I'm just saying.
Well,
all right. Here's another point.
Well done, counselor.
Here's a reason that you should watch sports, and this one's easy. It's real life drama. That is it's a built-in game. There's a built-in story. Yeah. There's a winner. There's a loser, unless there's ties, which I always think is kind of lame. But like the drama, you can't get away from the drama, the rivalries, shit like that.
Sean, how many games a year would you say you watch not at a pub? Not, you say you just watch at your house by yourself. It's not a social event. You are watching for the game itself. How many games would you say?
So normally I would be my preference is actually to be at the game. Right, so that's the first. That's
right.
That's
I agree with that.
Thing. So normally, if it's my team, if it's Collingwood, I would be at 15 games a year, live of those, and I would probably go to a couple of others, and then I would be following or watching, 2 or 3 hours, depending on. Again, I'm trying to remember way back when we had sports on all the time.
When we had
right, it's like back in the olden days,
it's
kids,
tough.
right before this virus.
Right, exactly.
So like I'd have NBA on, on NBA League Pass. So 10 to 15 hours I would have it on, watching different sports depending on the peaks and valleys of the season. I'm looking forward to the all sports are back season that's coming up in August, September, when it's going to be 28 hours of live sport every single day.
Come in like a flood.
So that's going to be an interesting period, toothpicks and eyeballs kind of stuff to be able to watch them all. But
toothpicks and eyeballs.
Acme style.
I'm really going to clockwork orange it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say 10 to 15 hours I would have it on and watching it. But then it's also all the ancillary content, the talk shows, and I listen to a podcast of people talking about the NBA, and there hasn't been any NBA for 90 or 100 days, and I'm still listening to a daily podcast. So it's not just the live sport. I'm also consuming so much content around it. Sort of takes up so much of my time, and I'm happy to as a fan.
Exactly. Okay, so you said two things that I 100% agree with. I could not agree more. First of all, I do love, RJ, I love going to live sporting events. I love it.
You love a live event.
I love baseball games are awesome. Basketball games, oh my God, those guys, they're so fat. It's amazing seeing talent. I'll say for a couple of reasons. One, I like going to sporting events because it's amazing seeing that level of talent in person is wild.
It's weird that you never come to my softball games. But
like I said, talent. It's amazing seeing talent in person. Like Sean, I'm sure you've sat for the NBA. You've sat close. Seeing those guys who are that big move that fast is bananas. Just so cool.
It is.
Okay. I love
like real life gladiators.
It is. I love I love eating the food. I love cheering. I love all that stuff. So fun.
It sounds like you love it. Podcast done. Let's go home, people.
Okay. Also,
Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Get ready for the check from Bley.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. I can't. The amount of games that I go to are maybe 1 or 2 games a year. I just don't go to events. And by the way, that includes concerts, all these other things. So I'm not getting that kind of a thing because that's a lot for me to do. I work a lot of all these things. Okay. And it's also not part of my job like it is, Sean. It is, you could also say it's part of it because it is your job. Sports
keeps it all tax deductible. All of those things have to buy. It's like, sorry, it's all research. It's all research.
You son of a, you've done it. Oh, man. Oh my God. I mean, you're just writing it all off. Okay. Okay, so I do like sporting events. I will say that. But here's the thing. Here is the real issue. I do love the stories of the arc of a game and all that stuff. But like Sean, I like the ancillary content more than watching the actual game. Just give me the story, baby. I'll watch the fourth quarter of a game, but the first 3 quarters, I'll watch Shaq and Charles Barkley rip on each other and talk about, that stuff is great. I love the stories. I don't need to watch the sports to get the stories. Is where
you want the Cliff's Notes, basically, of the game. You want the highlights.
Give me the meat, none of the bones. Don't they have a thing? And that I could be wrong, but Sean, isn't there a thing where this might be just American football, but they have like a red zone pass?
Yep.
Where it's only touchdowns.
It's exactly what you said.
It's a danger and opportunity that's facing sports right now as more people we've got more sports on offer and we can access more sports more easily than we could 30 years ago. Right. 30 years ago on a Monday, there was just football on Monday night.
Right.
And now we've got all of these, Netflix and Disney Plus. We've got all of these different options. So more people just say, give it to me how I want it. I only want to consume it here. So the consumers of sports are more because the NBA now can auto-magically know when Steph Curry hits 2 3-pointers. It automatically cuts the video, puts it out on socials, and you see it without anyone touching it. Like it's all done it's all done by computers. Like the technology listens to the crowd, listens to the commentator, looks at the stats, knows that Steph has hit 2 threes. It automatically cuts it and gets his shimmy at the end and then puts it straight out on socials. That's how you're consuming it, and that's why you're still following the NBA. But then what you do is you then click the button and you watch it, and the NBA is now offering it for $1.99. You're like, okay, I'm in. Steph Curry's hot. I'm going to watch, and so more people are watching because of that, and the sports world is bigger because of it. And less people are watching the whole game, which is why we're trying to quicken up games and shorten them, and that kind of thing. But more people are watching sports and would be considered sports fans because of that.
Wait, so Sean, I have a question. Which this kind of leads to a question, which is like, do you think that the actual game is even that important anymore?
I think the game is important, but I think
I need to watch the game? Do I need to watch it?
Well, how long do you think all of these broadcasters can stretch during this period where there's no games. Like at some point, you stop listening to Charles and Chuck talk about the NBA when there's no games. So the games are the blood that keeps everything ticking over. So what you might see is we don't need as many games. So we might see less games. We might see shorter games. Right. So at the moment, like in the AFL, because they know this season's this weird season, they've actually shortened the game and they've cut time out of it. So because they might be playing more games, because normally you play one game a week and let the players recover.
Right.
And so they've cut 20% out of the game. So there's less game time, but we're still getting result. I'm still happy Collingwood won because I got a result, but the games are less. So the guys can play a game on Monday, then Thursday, then Sunday, so we can finally finish a season. They might stick with that going forward because it's an easier product for TV. People watch the whole thing. You can jam a few more ads in there and make money for everybody. So like that's where I think that might happen, where they start trying to condense an NFL broadcast is the classic one. It takes 4 hours. Like what would it look like if it took 90 minutes? Watch more of it.
So do you think, this is so interesting, but do you think like the pandemic and COVID is going to change the way we actually change a sport? Like change the sport of basketball, change the sport of baseball?
I do think so, because the money talks and the broadcasters are going to say we need to do different things to make more money, whether it is jamming in more ads or making it more palatable for their platforms. And also I think there'll be innovation that comes out of it. So when the NBA does come back with no fans, they might come up with new camera angles and different ways for you to consume it. They go, we don't have to always shoot it that way. We might shoot it this way, and it's brings people back in. So that's where I think there might be some changes, whether it's length of season. MLB is going to come back with a 60-game season. They might say, well, do we really need to have all of those games?
Let's roll some dice. Let's just flip a coin.
Yeah. So
even inside the games themselves, like MLB, like you say, everyone's going to have a DH now. Both leagues are going to have a designated hitter. I could see that as something that just sticks, you know, because people just want to see that more. It's more entertaining if people are hitting home runs, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be interesting to see what the demands of the broadcasters are, because they're the one that hand over the big bag of money, and how much that forces the change, and how much it sort of changes the way sports is going forward.
See, I like the future that you are pitching. I would watch sports if it was the future that you, Sean, are explaining, where now I can't do a 4-hour game. I'm not going to do it. I'll do a 90-minute game. I'm not, like baseball games. What are we doing? People just put golf on and it's just playing forever. I don't even know what's happening. Why do you even watch golf on TV? Just to think about your life.
It's like the elevator music of sport, golf, I think. Yeah. It's just in the background.
That's true.
It helps me take a nap. It's the only way I can take a nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I just watch.
But I love it. I watched it yesterday. It's the only thing on. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Okay. So again, I watch ancillary content. I will go to games. I don't want to watch a game on TV.
Right. But to Sean's point too, you know, this isn't a chicken or the egg situation. We don't have all these things that you love so much if we don't have sports. You got to have the game first.
That's true.
You got to have the game first.
You're right. Okay. All right. Point to you.
I just want to bring up one thing that everyone loves. You have to love it, Bley, if you're a true just person. And that's
cocaine. Is it cocaine?
The Olympics. It's the Olympics. The Olympics are the best.
Olympics don't count.
They count. They don't count. It's all sports.
They don't count. Here's why they don't count. Because they don't. Olympics don't count because it's just a novelty. Like, no. I'm not going to follow the biathlon
event in the world.
No, listen. No.
Get out of here.
I respect Olympians, but watching.
Clearly not.
Wait. Well, let me just explain. Watching the Olympics is a novelty because I'm not following the career of Carrie Strug. I'll watch a biathlon because I want to watch somebody skiing and shooting. I'll watch Michael Phelps because it's a social topic of conversation. I'm not following Michael Phelps's career as a sport. I'm not following swimming as a sport. It's just like saying, so here's a question. Here's a question back to you guys. If I only watch the Super Bowl every year, am I a football fan? I would say no. And that is why
a fan of the Super Bowl. That could be a thing. You like the Super Bowl as an event.
But the Super Bowl isn't a sport. That's my point. It's an event. It's not a sport. That is why I don't consider watching the Olympics watching sports. I don't consider it because it's not a season. Go ahead, Sean.
But that's like saying, Quentin Tarantino movies don't count if you don't read everything and read all listen to all the podcasts and read all the reviews. If you just go and consume and enjoy the Tarantino movie when it comes out, you go, that was a good movie. And you say, oh, you're not a true movie fan.
But if you like Tarantino, follow Tarantino. I think the difference there is most people don't follow, let's say, swimming. Most people don't follow swimming.
Yeah.
So the people who follow swimming and are watching the Olympics, that is like watching sports for them. I know it's a weird argument.
Yeah, but you could be a fan. You could be a fan of America or Australia or Iceland or whatever, and that's their big competition. You could be a fan of the team.
But it's also you're getting tricked into it. It's your country. It's like I'm going to root against the country I live in.
Every 4 years or every 2 years, if you count also the winter, it's like, this is what you're in for. And the same, whether the World Cup of football, like when Australia's in it or when the USA is in it, guess what? For 2 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, you're a football fan because you are riding your team as far as it. And if Joe Nobody wins a gold in the skeet shooting, you're like, Joe Nobody is the best. He's, where do I get a Joe Nobody t-shirt?
That's a good point.
Let's throw a parade for that guy.
So your point is...
Wait, this is basically just your argument from last time, which is there needs to be less. Well, there's only one every 2 years, so it's perfect for you.
No, I'm redefining watching sport. Like I don't consider that watching. I'm considering it an event. But I will say, Sean, to your point. Now, wait a second. If we're talking about sports being a story and drama, you are right. It doesn't get any bigger than the world stage and the Olympics. So, all right, you know what? I will say fine. Okay, fine. Yes,
because you get sucked in every single time.
You're right.
You're like,
that's
here's
true.
a 16-year-old gymnast from Ohio that you want to know about her mother, and she slept in a car for so long, and here she is on the podium. Like, it's built for the commentator.
And by the way, sidebar, is there an Olympian that doesn't have a story? I mean, it's like, I feel like every one of those people is what you just described. It's like, oh my gosh, and they were born, they had an immaculate conception because a bolt of lightning hit a person while they were hang gliding, and then out popped, this girl is good at waving a ribbon around on the mat.
I'll pull the curtain back. What you don't know, Olympic Selection Committee now is more like Big Brother. They do, it's actually more like a reality show. It's got nothing to do with ability at all. It's just like, what's your story? Tell us about your parents. Have you got a dog? What's his name?
I do have a chance.
Yeah,
I can be an Olympian.
Okay, you're in. A three-legged dog gets you in. I don't care. You can't run, can't swim. Three-legged dog, you're in.
Oh, you've never heard of this sport? Perfect. Come on in. Perfect.
Is that something? I will say, like, it must be fun. Like having a team and like being able to kind of craft storylines like that must be a really awesome part of what you get to do.
Well, that's a bit that is developing, and is, when we're seeing things like The Last Dance and Amazon tipping in money into these longer form documentaries, people want to consume and be drawn into sport in different ways. And you're starting to see sports like sell their documentary rights to people like Amazon and Netflix because of the success of 30 for 30. And as much as we joke about this, it's like, you start learning more about, and it is an entree into the sport. You learn about Sunderland because of the Netflix series, or you start watching F1 more because of the Netflix series, or you go back and you're buying League Pass to get NBA games because of the The Last Dance. And so, if you're on Amazon, there's a really good series on the Australian Test cricket team. And again, if you're on Amazon, you're like, what's cricket? I don't understand it. And you start watching that and you're like, now I understand cricket. So that's the piece that is opening up. And that's the bit that the Olympics has always done well, because they're like, we've got 4 years, we've got all this programming. Yes, we've got 10 seconds of them running, and we've still got 59 minutes. What else are we going to do? So So it's about building out that story that we know that, Usain Bolt is a champion because we know everything about him.
Yeah. Can you run slower so we can talk more over the broadcast? Exactly. You're saying we're going to need you to run a bit slower. I know you're so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a good point.
The producer just wants it to be 20 seconds so we can fit the ad break over it.
Yeah. I know you want the record, but you have so many records. Yeah. It is. I will say one thing I am a huge sucker for. And sports really does tickle this, whatever, funny bone or whatever it is. But I am such a sucker for good camera angles. And the Olympics has every possible camera angle. And that's, by the way, I will say, why I like American football, because they have that fly-by-wire cam. And I'm such a video game guy. They're making it basically Madden and real American football are just going to become the same.
But a lot of the innovation in NFL has come from Madden, because people have been consuming.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, because people have been consuming the Madden game and the Madden view. They're like, this is how I know what football is. And again, the same. They'd go, I know Rodgers steps back and they do that fly route. And they're like, I've seen that. And so they're like, show me that view. And so that's where the innovations come into the broadcast, which is to bring in the gamers, and the same, more people are watching MLS because they're playing, New York FC or LA Galaxy on FIFA. And so they're like, we want to bring those fans in. So they're actually recruiting and getting new fans via things like games.
That's amazing. And I will say, it's so funny because even watching Madden, they have adopted the thing that TV does, which is between plays, just shooting players kind of out of focus, all that, depth of field and all those things. It's man, that's fascinating. That's
I just want to say my favorite camera angle from the Olympics 2 years ago was the one. I got really into curling because of the story of the guy with the mustache.
No one has ever said that before in the history. I got really into curling.
And I've been going to meetings for 6 months. I've been into curling since Vancouver. I really having a hard time. I keep diving into this YouTube channel. Don't go there, guys. It's like crack.
Yeah. And the camera angle that I loved was it was under the ice, right under the target that they were at. So you would see the
that's awesome.
The rock or whatever. Yeah. It would just come right above it and just stop. I was like, how did they put that camera under the ice?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
But you're there going, go, Rock, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can Which is the same as what you do if you're watching The Price is Right and the wheel is going around. And it's like, big dollar.
It's the exact same. By the way, Price is Right should be in the Olympics next year. The wheel, at least.
At least the wheel. Yeah, I mean, and again, story, you're talking about The Last Dance and things like Hard Knocks. I love that program on HBO where it's they follow a team through the beginning of the season. They're all Liev Schreiber's got that cool, awesome voice, and the cornerback, that is the most important job on the field. But today, he's taking his time. You're just what?
But it's really important to have that, because sometimes when you put a athlete in front of a camera and you say be entertaining, people forget they're an athlete.
Right.
There's only so many Shaqs and Charles Barkleys that actually can make people laugh. So you need that producer, the voiceover guy, to make it interesting, because if you just put a camera up and say, hey guys, be entertaining, a lot of them are terribly boring because they're very good at throwing a football or hitting a ball, and they're not comedians or they're not great orators. So shaping that story needs people of skill to do that.
My God. All right. Well, okay. I will say this. All right.
All right. Time to hear the verdict. But before we do, let's take a quick break. Okay. We're back.
Where are we at? Let's just draw the conclusion here. You in?
Here it is. You convinced me. You did it.
Wow.
Well done.
Is that true?
I'll be donating to Boys and Girls Club of America. Well done. Honestly, it wasn't you.
That's all. No, that's all Sean. That's all Sean.
You did nothing. It's all Sean. Well done, Sean. I will say, here's why I think watching sports is great. You guys have convinced me. First of all, human drama. Amazing.
It's the best.
You're right. You guys are right. The stories, and even things as we're talking, I'm finding myself, the Olympics, you're right. The human drama is amazing. It's on a world stage. The stakes don't get any larger than that. But then also there's, like Sean, you said, The Last Dance, and I'm saying Hard Knocks. There's the ancillary content around sports that I find fascinating. And so therefore, without the sports games, we would not have the ancillary content. So
we had unscripted drama way before it was even invented. It's been sports forever. Right?
Yes.
It's just a new category of unscripted drama and reality. It's like that's what sports has been for forever. We've just we're now appreciating it.
So, yes, human drama. And then also I will say camera angles. I hate to be so nerdy about it, but it's cool to watch. It's fun. I don't know. It's great. Yeah. It's fun to watch that stuff. And don't even get me started on how fun esports are to watch. Esports are just like, imagine if whatever, Steph Curry shot lightning bolts every time he made a three. It's incredible.
Yeah, the exciting thing about esports is it's still so new. There's a whole bunch of innovation that can happen in the space, both from what it looks like in the stands and how they interact. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how the NBA shoots. Like the new camera angles we're going to get, having a cameraman courtside or microphones on the players and hearing what they're saying, all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Again, once we get it, we'll be like, no, we have to get it when we come back. Like we have to,
exactly.
So it's like once the cat is out of that bag, we're like, no, keep all of that stuff. That was really good. So I think the NBA 100%. Will do a good job of really making it engaging for us to watch it, and everyone will be ready, right? The ratings will be out through the roof. When sport came back in Australia, the ratings were bananas because everyone was like, that's crazy. I mean, if you want, you can watch the AFL on, I think it's on ESPN at Fox early Saturday morning. So if you want an explainer on AFL, hit me up and I'll do my best to explain it. While there's no sport, there's at least some sport.
There we go. Exactly. All right. So I am convinced because of the human drama and the camera angles. I will say watching sports is great.
Amazing.
Thank you,
Sean.
So much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for helping me convince Bley.
No
he's gonna donate to the Boys and Girls Club of America. And if anyone listening wants to donate as well, that's at bgca.org. You guys can check that out.
And please check out Sports Geek at sportsgeekhq.com. Follow Sean Callanan on Twitter as well as Sports Geek on Twitter. And check out Gravitas.
Yeah, go Gravitas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gravitas got...
We've got a game in 6 or so hours, so hopefully we can get a win. We're coming up against the Direwolves. They're at the top of the ladder, so let's see. We'll see if our guys can throw a punch.
How do we watch that?
Twitch TV / Riot Games Host. But if you follow Gravitas on Twitter, we send out the links every week. So it's we play Friday nights and Saturday nights. So it's sort of late, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock West Coast time.
Perfect.
You can tune in. It's available. You just dial up Twitch, Riot Games Host. There it is. There's 4 games on a Friday and a Saturday. So good fun. And hopefully the Gravitas boys can put up a fight for all the new
Hell
listeners.
Yeah.
I'm just excited I have a League of Legends team now. I'm stoked.
I'll send you both some Gravitas tees, all right?
Yes. Represent. I love it. Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And I guess I like sports now.
Woo! Thanks, Sean.